everyone and welcome to the channel. And today in this video it's a bit of a unique individual because there is a previous video you may have seen where I met the Flying for Freedom people. Now just by coincidence there's some individuals, and I use the word individuals, they're looking at and grinning at me already. George, behave yourself. From Flyability, who I've had some dealings with in the past, more in terms of subtle support in the background. But I'd like to introduce George and Helen.
Hello.
So George, why is Flyability important to you, and what role do you're not just a member of Flyability, are you really? So what do you do for Flyability?
I'm the chairman of Flyability. I accidentally fell into the rail thanks to Steve Varden, who invited me without really, I asked a question at the meeting and they said, "You're the chairman," and walked out and went out. So.
In typical Steve Varden style.
Yeah.
So, Helen, what's your role within Flyability?
I am the secretary, which basically means I kind of do all the bits that George can't be bothered to do.
She does all the work. All of the work.
Yeah. What does Flyability give UK disabled pilots?
So Flyability, our aim is to get disabled people flying hang gliders and paragliders. That's our kind of remit where we sit within the kind of charity sector. And we do that in kind of three different ways. So we have a scholarship scheme, which means that we pay towards training and tandem flights on hang gliders and paragliders.
Yeah.
We have equipment, specialised equipment like the buggy that you can see behind us.
We'll come on to the buggy in the background in a minute.
Which we loan out to schools and clubs to basically get disabled people flying so that the schools don't have to have their own equipment.
Yeah.
And then we also try and just share good practice and information about how to train as a disabled person on paragliders and hang gliders, because basically there's lots of different problems that you might come across if you can't move your arm in a certain way, or if you can't walk, or
because everybody has unique skills.
Absolutely.
And George, we were chatting earlier that you said actually you started on hang gliders, didn't you? How long ago was that?
I actually started with you're gonna get my whole love story now. I started on the shadow microlights years ago.
Yeah.
This was 2006.
No. 1996.
Oh yeah. I'm not that old. I'm not that old. Yeah, I went through the whole how to fly. I could fly microlights.
Yeah.
And then the CAA found out about my disability.
Yeah.
And took my medical away.
Right.
So I started from that point trying to find out about non-powered flight, and I was looking around for another way to fly, and I found out from America they were doing this hang gliding aerotow, and the only school that was doing it, Airways Air Sports,
which is where we are today.
Yeah, and like since that point, I fell in love with hang gliding, aerotow. It was awesome.
aware, we are at Darley Airfield right now. Why are you here specifically this week? Because there's your brand new trike in the background, and I'll hopefully show the viewers some of the footage of this amazing contraption. I call it a contraption, but actually it's a game changer for those that are of a disabled nature. But why are you actually here at Darley Moor this week?
So back at the start of 2020, Chris Williams got in touch with us, and he'd been doing some trials with the buggy that you'd put together.
Okay.
And basically seen some videos of the Handybowl trike that we've got behind us, and wanted to get together to try and put together a crowdfunder to raise funds to buy one for Flyability to use.
Yeah.
And then we launched those crowdfunders with the help of XCMag
And TrackCat.
and TrackCat at some talks that happened just before lockdown.
That was in Bristol, wasn't it?
There was one in Bristol and one in Lewes over in Sussex.
Right.
So a lot of the people in the West Country and down south came along to those talks and donated a lot of money. A lot of people online donated a lot of money. And basically during lockdown, we were able to buy the buggy that you see behind us. And now that lockdown is kind of easing, we're now trying to get it flying. So we're taking it a little bit on a magical mystery tour around the country,
Right.
to get it flying with various people in various different launch methods.
Yeah.
To
Have you got to do testing at the minute? Because we've had some chats off camera about the fact of flying a trike as a tandem, on the tandem side of things, is a lot more complicated than just taking a tandem passenger, isn't it?
Yeah, we've...
Because there's some great footage of you testing it with Chris, isn't there?
It's all out. Yeah, the where it comes from, where part of it comes from, is Sanderson buggies aren't being made anymore, and they were the mainstay of tandem flying. And we've been looking for a trike to replicate that, and I persuaded Chris to try another one out, tandem, in France, and it was awful to in the tandem situation.
No.
It was the basic one,
Yeah, it was a
and
different
not like that one at all.
different make.
And it was just it didn't work tandem. It's beautiful solo, but tandem is just your tandem pilot is like this, and he's dangerous.
The thing with all of these buggies is actually different buggies are suited to different launch sites and different types of launchers. So some of them work really well on the tow, some of them don't work on the tow at all. Some of them you can launch off a rocky hill, but you couldn't launch off a smooth slope. And so it's having a variety of buggies actually means that we can help a variety of different schools with different
this one
sites.
seems to do fit most jobs really well, but the problem is the cost.
So on that note, you said that the fundraiser went really, really well. You managed to almost get 2, didn't you?
Yeah.
So is your GoFunding still available for people to contribute if they want to?
Yeah. There's information on our website about how to donate to the charity. Basically, we're at the position where we have enough for kind of 1.5 buggies.
Yeah.
We've got the one, but we want to just make sure that it is exactly what we need as a charity and what suits all of the different schools that have got experience flying with the buggies, before we then go ahead and say, okay, we want to raise the rest of the money and get a second, so that we can get this thing flying all around the country.
You alluded to the fact that there aren't many people qualified to tandem the buggy. How would people get in contact with you? Is it just directly through Flyability if they want to learn how to fly these?
Yeah, it's a tricky one, isn't it? Because there's no kind of BHPA approved way to learn to fly with the buggies.
Right. So how have people been qualified in the past?
What we tried to do in the past is, when we've got the buggy, try and get a tandem pilot there to fly with the advice of like a sky god like Chris. You know.
Yeah, so we've got Jockey up in the lakes who's obviously got loads of experience flying tandem with, our other buggies are called the Sanderson buggy. So we've got Jockey up in the lakes who's got lots of experience flying tandem. We've got Chris who's got a huge amount of experience flying tandem with the buggies. Down in Dorset we've got Andrew Pearson flying Frenzy, has got loads of experience flying tandem. So what we try to do is to get people who want to fly with the buggies to spend time with someone who's got that experience, so that they can kind of just share how it's different from a standard tandem flight, because it is things like you might want to sometimes land crosswind rather than into wind.
So from a Flyability's perspective, you are really trying to focus on getting more disabled people flying, enjoying the joy of the air, which is why, those that follow my channel will know I'm a grinning idiot. George, I've seen you when you were flying yesterday, the day before you were absolutely grinning as you are now. I've always said that aviation is a disability equaliser. It doesn't matter what you do. It just still you've got this freedom of the skies. Where do you see Flyability going in the future then?
I think one of the things that we really, really want to do is get more schools experience with flying with all sorts of disabilities, but especially with the buggies, because that is one of the big problems we have, is that a lot of disabled people live in big cities and there aren't necessarily the schools nearby, they're accessible, that they can get to, that they can then have a flight or learn to fly solo in one of our buggies, because the schools don't necessarily have the experience doing it. So that's the way to really unlock the sport to more disabled people at the moment.
It's been great to see the passion that you brought here, and it was just by coincidence that I met you at Darlingmoor this week. For anyone that's been watching this interview and wants to get in touch with Flyability, Helen or George, if you're behaving yourself this week, George, he's a character, he's been keeping us on our toes all week. If anyone wants to find out any more information, I'll leave the link to Flyability's website. They do have a YouTube channel. I'll leave a card up here or in the description. But say, George, Helen, thank you very much for your time, and say I hope anyone that's watching this video wants to get involved with them, please do. So until next time everybody, fly safe.